Hi, welcome back to my channel Threads of Time. My name is Zephania and I can be found on Instagram as @Zephania. I believe my Ravelry is the same as well, although I don't keep up to date posting projects on there. Happy New Year. It's already quite late into January now, but I thought I'd wish everyone a happy New Year, and I hope you don't mind me also going through my goals for 2023. Last year I did keep a physical journal of my makes. I can show you the page. So I would write the project and then put a piece of fabric or yarn in there. I won't go over everything I knit, but I thought I would do a little overview of the objects. So I finished 10 knits and 5 sewing projects, which is not a lot. I thought I had finished more, but I guess not. 3 of those projects I gifted. So I did the Morash sweater, which if you've followed for a while, you know that I knit that for my partner. I did a shawl for my friend, and I ended up giving my 1940s white jumper to my friend. I don't really know how successful this year was. I did do a bit more experimenting in terms of I wanted to knit more 1940s jumpers, but I don't find that I was happy with any of them, which is amusing. So I did knit this last year. So this is a beauty school pullover, which I think is successful. I did it quite like a bigger size than my previous one, and the combination of that and this yarn means it's quite positive ease, which causes this wrinkle. And then I knew, but I figured out more that I definitely have narrow shoulders, or like where I like the shoulder line to sit is not always where other people or like the standard is. So this one is a bit big, but even on my normal size one, the shoulder line is still quite low. I would prefer it to be, you know, like up higher and actually, you know, in my shoulder. And when it comes to the puff sleeve sweaters that I knit, because it's not where I don't like the end up, like the finished results. So I think if I knit any more 1930s or 40s puff sleeve shoulder, I need to decrease more in the armhole so that they sit further up, which I find with when I sew these patterns. So yeah, what else? I did a few test knits, which I enjoyed. I think one of my how do I say this? One of my annoying habits that I want to change is that I tend to not do the finishing of the item. So I want to get more aware of making sure that I set aside time to actually, you know, sew up garments or do those bits that are for the completion of the project. I'm going to use the same journal. So I just made a 2023 page. I did a new, I haven't filled it in yet, but a new measurements. And I have put in my first project and things. I decided to set up a different setup to what I had done before, just to make it a little bit neater. And yeah, my intention, so usually I pick a word of the year, but this year I've decided to pick a technique, and I would like to do colour work this year, as I have a few kits. I have a Primrose Marie Wallin kit, and I have a Tudor Roses kit, and I've had them for quite a while, and I want to knit up those objects. I would like to sew more separates. I didn't do a lot of sewing this year, and I think it's partly because I currently am not working, so I don't really have anywhere to go, so I don't feel the desire to sew anything. But that being said, I'd like to sew more separates. I'd like to focus on colour work, and I would like to potentially double the amount of items I knit. So with all that said, let's get into whips. No, actually I have a finished object from the last video. Let me just get it. So I finished my camisole number 5. I don't actually have a picture of me wearing this yet. Mostly because I think, like a lot of people, I don't know. I do have a strapless bra, but I don't like how it looks. I think this particular style, because it's so casual, either looks better when you're not wearing a bra or when you're wearing a very rounded, padded bra, which I don't have any of those. So I have worn it a couple of times. I really like the yarn. I knit it out of Tandy yarn. I really enjoyed knitting it. I liked learning all these different finishing techniques, and I like 2x2 rib. I don't really like 1x1 rib, but I like 2x2 rib. And yeah, I think it was successful. Probably my most successful knit of last year. One thing I do want to note is, I don't know if it's my yarn choice, but I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'll try it, but the back of the neck kind of gapes away from the body, and I was very diligent in picking up the exact right amount of stitches. So I don't know if it's my yarn choice or if they're all like that, but yeah, I did notice that. I do really like this picked up double knit collar. I think if I knit another beauty school, I might do it on this, because yeah, I really like how it looks. It's neat. You don't have to sew it down if you decide to do a double, like a rolled collar, and I don't know, I think it's a technique that would work really well with the beauty school. So yeah, that's that. I did cast on another summer knit. I've completed the back. It's very simple. It's the Simplistic Rib Cami. I can't remember by who, but it's a 8-ply cotton project. I don't think it's very size inclusive, but I'm sure there's something out there for you if you need a bigger size. I've actually made an unintentional adjustment. I'm knitting the second size, but I did the first size increase rate, so it's a little bit shorter, which I think will be good for when it inevitably stretches out like cotton does. And yeah, I need to start the front straps. So this is the back. It's in a 2x2 rib, so it's quite stretchy. But yeah, that's that. Here's the ball of yarn. If anyone is familiar, that Bendigo Woolen Mills come in 200 grams, so that will be just perfect amount for this project, and I plan on just knitting until the whole ball is done. So that's that. A project I talked about in the previous episode, I can't remember if I'd cast it on, is the zip cardigan. And this is for my partner's mum, but she tried this on. I cast on the medium, which I thought would be fine. She tried this on and she needs a couple of sizes bigger. So what I'm gonna do is probably knit this one for me and cast on another one for her in some pink yarn, because that's also her favorite. But yeah, so far I've just put it on pause. But yeah, I'm knitting this in drops. What is it? Got drops Lima and the drops Air. And yeah, I think it'll be handy to have. I'm not really into oversized knits, so I think it will probably end up just being like a walking jacket, but it being in mohair, I think that would be quite handy to have, because I do like to go for walks. But yeah, that's that one. I haven't started it again just because I need to get more needles in that size. I only have one pair of 4.5. I don't think I have any 5mm. I think I will actually go into a 5mm needle because my gauge is just a little bit smaller than it should be. And then a project that I showed last time, it is getting very close to being finished. It's the Batwing jumper that is free on Subversive Femi, and I've done both the stripes. I'm doing the ribbing. I think I've done the back ribbing and I've just put it on hold. It's I think at 3 inches, and I think that is probably what I'm going to end up doing. The pattern says 5 inches, but I think that will be too long for me. So yeah. I also am planning on, instead of doing buttons and button loops for the back neck, I might install a zipper, which you see a lot on True Vintage jumpers. Usually have a neck zipper, so I think I'll do that. Yeah, I think this will fit me well, and I'll probably like wearing it, just because I have a few True Vintage ones that have that Batwing kimono sleeve, like all-in-one style. And yeah, I did actually have to end up buying some more Bendigo Woolen Mills. wonder if you can see it. They are different dye lots, but you really can't tell on camera, and in person you have to know it's there. And even now I'm like, which sleeve was it? I can't really tell. So but hopefully it all just blends in. There's only a very, very slight difference. So that's that one. In terms of sewing, actually I do have another finished object. I knit this little collar. Well, it's not really finished. I need to block it and put a button on it because it keeps curling up, but it's just a little Angora collar that I thought to wear with some of my knits. I don't really know how I feel about it yet. I think once I add a little button, it'll be fine. I did have to adjust the pattern a little bit because I didn't like how the curve was, so still on the hunt for a good collar pattern. But yeah, it's very soft. For sewing, I have started a new dress. It is this one. I got it from a New Zealand seller. So Academy patterns were manufactured in New Zealand, and I got this one because it has shirring on the back, which I thought would be good. And I'll show you the bodice. I've actually sewn the skirt and the bodice. I just need to sew them together and then put the zip in. Here's the front. It's supposed to have piping here, but I felt that it would come up too high on me, so I left it out. And then there's all the shirring in the back. This fabric is a Gertie cotton sateen that you can get from Spotlight, and I really like it because it's not an ultra shiny sateen. It's yeah, it doesn't have that shininess to it that a lot of cotton sateens have. And yeah, I think this will be good. It's very similar to the pink one I made the start of last year, but because it has the shirring, I feel like it'll be something that stays in my wardrobe for a bit longer, because when you sew something that's quite fitted, any tiny little fluctuation makes it more difficult to wear, and you have to make sure you're wearing the same bra that you fitted it on with, and I just think the shirring will make those little nuances less obvious. Yeah, I really like the shirring. You actually also insert a bigger bit of an elastic up in the top part, but it's so tedious. I don't know how people make whole bodice sections with the shirring. It's just a little bit annoying. There's that. And yeah, that is pretty much all I have. I did buy some more yarn, so I decided to try, because I had to get the more black. I decided to get 2 so I can knit another black top. And I also decided to try the 3-ply luxury from Bendigo Woolen Mills. It is a tiny bit thinner. I mean, you can see it in, but I think it's really just like a lightweight lightweight fingering. It says 32 stitches to 10 centimeters, so I think it will be good for some of the knitted projects that call for like 8 stitches per inch. Probably still gonna have to knit it on 2.75, even though it says recommended 3 mil, because I have to knit 28 stitches per inch on 3 mil, but yeah, I got that. I also got some bear skeins that they sell to do some avocado skein dyeing, so hopefully you'll see those in the future. And yeah, I don't know if I want to do a make 9 this year. I thought about maybe doing one. Actually, I have one more cast on. I needed a simple car project because at the time I wasn't finished I was waiting on the yarn for the batwing top, so I decided to start this pattern, which goes in with my colourwork theme, although this is intarsia. I have done intarsia before. If you've been here for a while, you know I did that big 1930s dress, which was intarsia panels, and I am using my pink Tandy yarn, and I've just cast on the ribbing. So I think I will probably do it with black, like in this picture. I thought maybe I have a grey yarn, but I think black might be better, just because then I can wear it with like black pants or a black skirt. And yeah, I really want to find my feet when it comes to vintage knitting patterns and vintage sizes. So yeah, that's this one. I think I cast on the 36. But I think I might only increase up to a 34. I don't know. Cast on 116 stitches and then 132. It's hard to say. I think a 36 might be better, just because this wool is a little bit less stretchy in terms of the fact that it's a non-superwash, like natural yarn. But yeah, we'll see. I'm trying to figure out the best size for me in vintage patterns, because even though my bust is probably like a 37 inch, I have a narrow back, which then affects the fit. So I don't think it will matter so much in this because it doesn't have a shoulder seam. It's one of the, let's see, it's an all-in-one sleeve, and it's quite close in the armpit. So I think a 36 would be better, just to have that little bit of extra ease. Yeah, I'm excited. I really like the little V in the collar, so yeah. This is another one. If you watched my previous video, I showed a whole heap of the twin Proofray Huges knitting, and this pattern book's falling apart. My favorite model, who looks like Elizabeth Taylor, she's in here, so that's her there. If you want these patterns, Subversive Femme sells this one on her website or Etsy, and she also has, I'll take you to the page, let's have a look. She also has this one, which I also want to knit. I think I'd probably knit this one maybe in the Knitting for Olive, because a lot of people like that merino as a summer yarn. But yeah, I like the chevron. I think it's super cute. You could probably do like a white, a pink, a grey, or like 3 different blues. I think it would be really pretty. So I will probably upload this onto my Etsy, the whole book, rather than just the individual patterns. But if you just want this one pattern, on Subversive Femmes website it's like $2, so very good deal. But yeah, that's that one. And I think that is it. As I was saying before, I rudely remembered that I had another project to show you. I don't know if I'll do a Make 9 this year. I want to keep with my one modern, one vintage. Just because I like learning new techniques through modern knitting patterns, and I want to find what my preference for vintage knitted patterns are, because I'm considering making up my own pattern based on some images of some knitwear that was common in the 50s. But we'll see how that goes. That's a very maybe this year, maybe not project. Mostly because I really feel like last year the knits I made weren't successful in that. There was something that I was unhappy with, and I want to try and figure out if it's the yarn, the pattern, the style that makes me feel that way. But yeah, I think after my batwing is finished, I will work on this one, and then once my modern pattern is finished, this will probably be my last summer project of the year, just because the weather's already becoming funky again here. I will probably cast on a new release from Tash. I forget what her Ravelry name is, but she came out with a cardigan pattern that I've been really looking forward to. It's called the Wonderella, and I have some black yarn to make a black one. I just need to get the mohair. But yeah, it's the Drops Alpaca Merino 4-ply. It's like the fingering weight version of the Lima. Yeah, and I actually want to knit that one in more than one colour. So I also have some pink Knit Picks palette that I've had since I began knitting 5 years ago from my first project, because I definitely overbought. And I think I might find some pink mohair to go with that. I do have some pink Drops mohair in my stash, but sorry about that, I got cut off. It's a very purpley pink and I just don't like it, so I think it would be better for me to find a pink that I like better. I think that's it for today's episode. There's been a few new podcasts I've been listening to. So the vintage knitting party, vintage party pattern, I forget, I'll add it here. She's new and I've been really enjoying her videos. Tash, who I just spoke about with the vintage inspired cardigan pattern, the Wonderella, she's started a YouTube channel. So yeah, if you like vintage patterns, I definitely recommend those two YouTube channels. And yeah, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry I was all over the place. If you got this far, definitely give me a like and tell me what you are planning on knitting for 2023. Thanks. Bye.